will be mostly like copied from various resources, books and lectures. So yeah, like I don't have an experience, and just I'm stating that. I can start sharing my screen. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Just a minute. Okay. So before reading, I'll just give an introduction, then we can start reading. So today we are going to discuss the pastime of Pṛthu Mahārāja meeting four Kumāras, which is from chapter 22 of fourth canto, the 37th verse to 63rd verse. So recap about what we have discussed till now. So we have discussed about Pṛthu Mahārāja being born. Pṛthu Mahārāja is the Shaktiavesh Avtara of the Lord. Pṛthu Mahārāja was born from the body of King Vena, who was a very evil king. The sages cursed him and killed him, and then they churned his body to bring Pṛthu Mahārāja out of it. Then we also saw the pastimes where Pṛthu Mahārāja gets angry with Mother Earth because she was not producing enough grains for their kingdom. But eventually he gets pacified, and he gets compassionate towards Mother Earth, provided she provides enough grains to his kingdom. Then we also saw the story of Pṛthu Mahārāja and Indra, where Indra get envious of Pṛthu Mahārāja because he is performing 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas. And after that, we saw Pṛthu Mahārāja addressing his citizens about him being a servant of the Supreme Lord and a representative of the Supreme Lord, and about devotional service. So currently, we are reading about the pastime where, based on the Lord Vishnu's blessing, the four Sanat Kumaras come to meet Pṛthu Mahārāja, and we are going ahead with that discussion. So, oops. Just a minute, my screen is, yeah, sorry. So here we will see a few themes today. In the initial verses between 37 to 40, we would be seeing like Sanat Kumaras will continue to guide King Pṛthu about devotional service. There a theme comes about overcoming material desires by help of devotional service. So we would be diving deeper into the theme of overcoming material desires. Further, from 41 to 48, King Pṛthu praises Sanat Kumaras and describes the greatness of Brahmanas and how he cannot repay the gift of Krishna consciousness. So there comes the theme of gratitude for Guru and Brahmanas. So we would be diving into that theme. And further, there are glories of Pṛthu. Pṛthu Maharaj as a devotee, as ideal grihastha, ideal leader who is Krishna conscious. So we would be diving into the theme of Krishna conscious leadership. So we can start reading. Oops. Oops. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah. So should I start reading, Prabhu?
Up to you, Prabhu. We usually
Yeah.
have devotees raise their hands, and yeah.
Okay. So is anyone interested in reading, Prabhu?
I can go. I can go. So till what verse should I go?
So I think we can go about like 9 verses each approximately. Yeah.
Sure, sure. So 37 plus 9 is 46. So
46.
45th
Yeah.
verse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sanat Kumar advised the king, therefore, my dear King Pṛthu, try to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is living within everyone's heart, along with the individual soul, in each and every body, either moving or not moving. The individual souls are fully covered by the gross material body and subtle body made of life, air, and intelligence. The Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests himself as one with the cause and effect within this body. But one who has transcended the illusory energy by deliberate consideration, which clears the misconception of a snake for a rope, can understand that the Paramatma is eternally transcendental to material creation and situated in pure internal energy. Thus, the Lord is transcendental to all material contamination. Unto him only must one surrender. The devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, that non devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. The ocean of nescience is very difficult to cross because it is infested with many dangerous sharks. Although those who are non devotees undergo severe austerities and penances to cross that ocean, we recommend that you simply take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are like boats for crossing the ocean. Although the ocean is difficult to cross, by taking shelter of his lotus feet, you will overcome all dangers. The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus enlightened in complete spiritual knowledge by the son of Brahma, one of the Kumaras, who was complete in spiritual knowledge, the king worshipped them in the following words. The king said, O Brahmana, O powerful one, formerly Lord Vishnu showed me his causeless mercy, indicating that you would come to my house. And to confirm that blessing, you have all come. My dear Brahmana, you have carried out the order thoroughly because you are also as compassionate as the Lord. It is my duty, therefore, to offer you something. But all I possess are but remnants of food taken by great saintly persons. What shall I give you? What shall I give? The king continued, therefore, my dear Brahmanas, my life, wife, children, home, furniture, and household paraphernalia, my kingdom, strength, land, and especially my treasury are all offered unto you. Since only a person who is completely educated according to the principles of Vedic knowledge deserves to be commander in chief, ruler of the state, the first to chastise or the proprietor of the whole planet, Pṛthu Maharaj offered everything to the Kumaras.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Uh, Vishal Prakash, Prabhu, you can go. Thanks.
The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property, and give charity with their own property. Pṛthu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus worshipped by Mahārāja Pṛthu, the four Kumāras, who were masters of devotional service, became very pleased. Indeed, they appeared in the sky and praised the characters of the king, and everyone observed them. Amongst great personalities, Mahārāja Pṛthu was the chief by virtue of his fixed position in relation to spiritual enlightenment. He remained satisfied as one who has achieved all success in spiritual understanding. Being self-satisfied, Mahārāja Pṛthu executed his duties as perfectly as possible, according to the time and his situation, strength, and financial position. His only aim in all his activities was to satisfy the absolute truth. In this way, he duly acted. Mahārāja Pṛthu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Consequently, All the fruits of his activities were dedicated to the Lord, and he always thought of himself as the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of everything. Maharaj Pṛthu, who was very opulent due to the prosperity of his entire empire, remained at home as a householder. Since he was never inclined to utilize his opulences for the gratification of his senses, he remained unattached, exactly like the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances. Being situated in the liberated position of devotional service, Pṛthu Maharaj not only performed all fruitive activities, but also begot 5 sons by his wife, Archi. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire. After begetting 5 sons named Vijitasva, Dhumrakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina, Vrakka, Pṛthu Maharaj continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who governed all other planets.
Thank you, Prabhu. I think no one else has raised the hand, so I can. Oh, Mataji, Sundari Shaki Mataji, do you want to continue?
Till what text?
So from text 55, you can end it till text 63.
Okay. Since Maharaj Pṛthu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Pṛthu Maharaj used to please them in all respects by his words, mentality, works, and gentle behavior. Maharaj Pṛthu became as celebrated a king as Somaraja, the king of the moon. He was also powerful and exacting, just like the sun god, who distributes heat and light and at the same time exacts all the planetary waters. Maharaj Pṛthu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his orders any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is insuperable. On the other hand, Maharaj Pṛthu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself. Just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desires, Maharaj Pṛthu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea in that no one could understand his depths, and he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the fixity of his purpose. Maharaj Pṛthu's intelligence and education were exactly like that of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountains, where all valuable jewels and metals are stocked. He possessed great riches like Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like the demigod Varunas. In his bodily strength and in the strength of his senses, Maharaj Pṛthu was as strong as the wind, which can go anywhere and everywhere. As far as his intolerance was concerned, he was just like the all-powerful Rudra expansion of Lord Shiva or Sadashiva. In his bodily beauty, he was just like Cupid, and in his thoughtfulness, he was like a lion. In his affection, he was like Swayambhuva Manu, and his ability to control, he was like Lord Brahma. In his personal behavior, Pṛthu Maharaj exhibited all good qualities, and in spiritual knowledge, he was exactly like Brihaspati. In self-control, he was like the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. As far as his devotional service was concerned, he was a great follower of devotees who were attached to cow protection and the rendering of all service to the spiritual master and the brahmanas. He was perfect in his shyness and in his gentle behavior, and when he was engaged in some philanthropic activity, he worked as if he were working for his own personal self. Throughout the whole universe, in the higher, lower, and middle planetary systems, Pṛthu Maharaj's reputation was loudly declared, and all ladies and saintly persons heard his glories, which were as sweet as the glories of Lord Ramachandra.
Thank you, Mataji. So now we can start with the discussion. I'll just do the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So yeah, we can start with the discussion. So the first theme which we want to explore is desire. So yeah, just yeah. Can you see the verse?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the verse 39. Uh, Here it is said, the devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. So this shloka is very important from devotional service point of view. It clearly states that how for a devotee it is much more easier to overcome desires compared to the people following other routes like jnanis and yogis. So the purport for it is very beautiful. I'll just quickly read it. Yeah. So I have just taken some points of the purport. Desires for fruitive activities are strongly rooted, but the trees of desire can be uprooted completely by devotional service because devotional service employs superior desire. One can give up inferior desires when engaged in superior desires. To try to stop desires is impossible. One has to desire the supreme in order not to be entangled in inferior desires. Jnanis maintain a desire to become one with the supreme, but such desire is also considered to be kama, lust. Similarly, the yogis desire mystic power, and that is also kama. And the bhaktas, not being desirous of any sort of material enjoyment, become purified. There is no artificial attempt to stop desire. Desire becomes a source of spiritual enjoyment under the protection of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord. It may be so further. Here, Prabhupada gives a very nice example. So he says it may be argued that waves of a river are incessantly flowing and that they cannot be stopped. But the waves of the river flow toward the sea. When the tide comes over the river, it overwhelms the flowing of the river, and the river itself becomes overflooded. Then the waves from the sea become more prominent than the waves from the river. Similarly, a devotee with intelligence plans so many things for the service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness that stagnant material desires become overflooded by the desire to serve Lord. So here, Srila Prabhupada has beautifully explained how devotional service can help us in overcoming desires, which might be very difficult or impossible for others, non-devotees. Here, I also think of another analogy. So mind's natural tendency is to run towards endless desires, and stopping it seems difficult or quite impossible. Similar to how water's natural tendency is to run towards the slope. But by the exposure to heat of sun, the natural tendency of water changes and it rises up in the air. Similarly, chanting the names of Lord Hari can replace the material desires of mind and change its natural tendency. So now we can discuss about how to deal with desires. This is something I personally struggle with. And I'm sharing here the examples found in Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's book, You Are Not Your Mind. So here we can take example of a person riding a bicycle. If if they pedal too fast, they can fall into a ditch. On getting up, if they decide pedaling caused their accident, so they won't pedal anymore. Then if cycling is their only mode of travel, they would be completely immobilized. So similarly, if we compare our life's journey to the cycle ride, then our desires are like our pedals. They're kind of helping to move us. Sometimes the desires get us into lots of troubles and make us fall into like metaphorical ditches. So for example, in the case of addict of anything. But does that mean we should stop desiring fully? Because absence of desires can lead us into depression, which is not healthy either. So here we can see in this diagram how dominance by desires can get us addicted, and absence of desires can leave us completely depressed. So regulating our desires and directing the desires towards a higher purpose can help us create a better future. So here I want to ask a question to everyone, that can you think of a desire whose dominance troubles you and a desire whose absence troubles you? So for example, for me, I would think like social media scrolling is a desire to do that is kind of like an addiction, and its dominance really troubles me at times because it wastes a lot of my time. It is unproductive. I feel tired after doing that. But a desire whose absence might trouble me would be reading spiritual books. So I kind of like reading books, and that really nourishes me. It increases my faith. It makes me feel connected to Lord Krishna. So those are my two desires. So would anyone like to share what would be a desire which they don't want and a desire which they would want in their life? Yeah,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhu. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Mathu. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, so for me, I think like overthinking is something that I don't uh, I don't really desire, but it just happens all the time for me, and it's really, really, really hard for me to control unless
Right.
I act on it very uh, like if I have to start the day with lot of force and then I won't overthink. Otherwise, it's been with me forever. So that's one desire that I really don't want, uh,
Yeah.
that I would like to control. A desire that I wish I had, I think definitely like that's a like more improved consistency in spiritual sadhana. That's something definitely I desire more.
Right. It makes sense. That's beautiful, Mataji. Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Prabhu. So desire that I have and that dominate me, but I don't want are so many, of course.
Right.
As you said, social media scrolling is one, and eating is another one. I mean, although we do say that eating prasadam is good, but
Yeah.
still,
Its absence
prasad.
should trouble you.
Yeah. So yeah, that is definitely something. And then the absence of some desire that troubles me is, you know, sometimes I'm giving a very material example in my life. So when I see these colleagues working very hard, right,
Right.
and they are doing amazing things in at work and all that.
Yeah.
So it sometimes maybe this is just a phase for me, but
Right.
sometimes I feel, oh, I wish I could have done as much as they do. But then it's just that I don't have that drive in me currently to do that. So I tend to take it a little chill these days, right? So and then what happens due to that is deadlines come, and then I'm suddenly overwhelmed with work, And then, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that is a very relevant example, Prabhu.
Mm.
So like I think in everyone's examples, we can see that we have some desires which do dominate us, and some desires whose absence create troubles in our life. So as Chaitanya Charan Prabhu has mentioned, we should be balancing our desires, and we should be redirecting our desires properly. Yeah. Does anyone else want to say anything? Okay, so we can go ahead. So when we hear the notification sound, what is our first reaction? We have a desperation to check, what is it? Has someone liked my picture? Or is it about a bill I need to pay? Or my boss wants something urgent? So it impels us to act. Now, our thoughts, which impel us to act, receive too little evaluation and too quick sanction from us. We can see our thoughts as automatic mental notifications, like those coming on our phones. For example, when I'm working and I receive a phone notification, I'm impelled to open it. Maybe it was a friend commenting on Instagram. I opened it, saw it, and replied. Half an hour later, I find myself watching a video of how to survive attack of a polar bear, which is literally fully irrelevant to my life. But a person of steady intelligence, unlike me, will evaluate if that notification is really important or not. It might be work-related email, which requires immediate attention, or a social media notification, which can wait unless you are an influencer. So our mind works similarly. We first need to be aware that the mind has interrupted us from something important. For this awareness, having a structure in life is very important. The structure will allow us to be aware of the interruptions of mind. And then our intelligence will come into play, where we can evaluate if this interruption is really important enough to break my structure. Now, the notifications of mind aren't that easy, like the phone notification. So suppose you are chanting, and my mind will suddenly say, all of this is fine, but how are you going to survive when you get old? And it's like you are shocked, you don't know what to do. Then we really need to evaluate if this is something which can be ignored, or which can be put on a to-do list, or is already taken care of. If you have done your part, you need to leave the rest upon Krishna, so that your devotion, so here your devotion will come into play. Our devotion can help us in creating a structure that is centered toward serving Lord Krishna, and strengthen our intelligence to evaluate the interruptions of mind. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu also states we should be centered not on the structure, but life's ultimate purpose of serving Lord Krishna. When we connect devotionally with him, we get the inner stability to discern what kind of structure works best for us. So here again, I would like to pose a question to everyone, that what strategies do you make for overcoming unwanted desires? I'm sure like everyone has tried many things, so I would like to hear about it. Does anyone want to answer?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my desires are also very similar,
Right.
which is browsing social media, and you know, the way I get into it, social media, is I try to justify that my actions are for the good. I'm going to get some spiritual content here,
Yeah.
but it ends up that, you know, I end up wasting my time. And some strategies that I've used, which which actually currently are not working for me, but I've used them in the past, is sometimes I set time limits for myself, saying that for a half hour, I'm not going to check the phone. I'm going to leave the phone on the side. And the thing that happens to me, I don't know if it happens to others, is if I get a notification, there's like a strange feeling that happens in my stomach, and
Right.
which says that, oh my God, there is something happening. There is something burning, and I really need to check this.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to wait for that half hour to check that notification. And so half hour is the most that I've been able to, and I do it once in a while, a few times a day. I say, the next half hour chunk, I'll leave the phone on the dining table and go somewhere else, and not know where the phone is. That's the only strategy that seems to work for me. So not carrying the phone on me is a strategy that I use
Definitely.
to get rid of my desires. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is a very sensible strategy. I feel like even half an hour is a great thing. Like I was recently talking with Garshan Prabhu, and he was saying like about overcoming desires. We should be at least, as a devotee, we are not saying that we are the ones who will be overcoming desires, but we are trying, and we are showing Krishna that we don't want this. So anything that we try, anything that we resist, that is something that can invoke Krishna's mercy, and then Krishna can help us further in overcoming the desires. Yeah, that's just something he said. But yeah, anyone, thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else wants to share anything? Okay, so we can go ahead. So again, it is not that you shouldn't have desires, but you should not have desires independent of the Supreme Lord. You should have desires to serve the Lord. So it is interesting that in this verse, the word used for bhakti, the devotion which can help us to like overcome the desires, is vilasa bhakti. So vilasa bhakti can be translated as ecstatic bhakti or intense devotion. So I heard this in class of Radhesham Prabhu, that we really need intense devotion to overcome these material desires. And he recommended 3 Ds for this ecstatic devotion. The first D is desperateness. Desperateness for attracting the Lord. So really being desperate that where is Krishna? I want Krishna in my life. But he also said that this desperateness should have gratitude with it. Should have gratitude with it, as it can be like, I'm thankful for everything I have, but where are you, Krishna? I only want you. I don't want anything else. Then the second D is devotional qualities. The devotional qualities are mentioned from the Shikshashtakam. The first one is humility, being humbler than a straw in the street. The second is tolerance, tolerant than a tree. So a woodpecker pecks a hole in the tree, but the tree still gives it a shelter. So being tolerant of respect and insult and just focusing on your bhakti. Then expecting nothing. Expectations are root cause of all troubles. And the last is respecting all. So never offending anyone, big or small, never sarcastically ridiculing anyone, and offering respect to all human beings as they are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. The last D is detachment. So it is mentioned in the na dhanam na janam na sundarim verse. So not attracted to any material things or any perishable things, not even wanting moksha, just praying that give me your love birth after birth, Lord. So yeah, all of this seems like very ideal and hard to achieve. Does anyone has any reflection on how do we actually apply it in life?
So about humility, right? Humility
Yeah.
can be defined in so many ways, and one of the ways Prabhupada defines humility is let me bring that. So he defines it very nicely. I mean,
Right,
it
right.
kind of sums up the humility. So this is in the purport to Bhagavad Gita 13.8 to 12.
Right.
So Prabhupada writes that humility means that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others.
Right.
So yeah, it's a very nice definition of humility, I felt. Of course, it's difficult, definitely not very easy. And because we do sometimes, we need that appreciation from others, that not necessarily honor, but in the sense that, that appreciation from others, that encouragement from others, I would say,
Right.
to continue. But yeah, we also need to see the level at that we are at. So, but yeah, on an ideal level, yeah, the not having the anxiety to receive the satisfaction of being honored by others is humility. And yeah,
Right.
there are so many, like Chaitanya Charan Prabhu also defines humility in many ways. Yeah, one way he defines is humility means asking asking less of what's in it for me, and asking more of what can I do for you, something like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So yeah. So anyway, just some points about humility.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Does anyone else want to say anything? Yes, Mataji, Nitya Kishori Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Very nice summary of what Radhesham Prabhu is mentioning about 3Ds. I think when we're discussing the Prahlad Maharaj's pastime right before this,
Right.
I there was a topic where about the material desires came, and Prahlad Maharaja was right. This is right after Hiranyakashipu got killed, and then to pacify Prahlad Maharaj, pacify Narasimha, Prahlad Maharaja was trying to appease the Lord, and so he was saying it as a prayer. So in that he prays for desires to be vanquished and to be fearless, and so when we dissect this word fearless,
Right.
right? The what in this class, I believe it's on Narasimha Chaturthi by Rasnath Prabhu in Bhakti Center. He said that it is not that we it's not about not having material desires. It's not so much about enjoyment. It's
Right.
about fear of losing the pleasure of the thought of not having material desires. So that is the fear that forces us to enjoy. Like, for example, if we have a bowl of juicy gulab jamuns in front of us, yes, enjoyment is one part, but like if I don't have it, then I'm afraid of the thought of losing that pleasure
Makes
of
sense.
having it when I have it. Yeah. So he actually prays to Lord Narasimha that only by your mercy that one can vanquish this demon-like desires for fruitive activity, that is material desires. And so please appear in our hearts to drive away this dark dense forest of material desires that we have, and so that we become fearless in the struggle for existence. So that is the fearlessness that he was talking about, the fear of losing the pleasure of
Very
enjoyment.
beautiful, Mataji. Yeah, that is a very beautiful point. Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, definitely we can do all our efforts, turning off the notifications, or Shubhvilas Prabhu once mentioned, and it has been working for me also, is that don't have Facebook on your phone, but have Facebook app on your laptop, because you don't use your laptop as much as you use your phone.
That is a
So,
smart thing.
yeah. So I ever since I turned off Facebook on my phone, I actually never logged on to Facebook. It's been like 3-4 months now. So it is, I mean, not that everybody would be in the same boat. I mean, I use Facebook for mainly being on groups and getting information, but it's not the same purpose that everybody uses it for. But it's one less click for us, right?
Makes sense.
So all of these are efforts. Definitely, they are sincere efforts that can be, seen as an effort, and then Krishna's will see us that okay, we are making an effort, but the ultimate mercy has to come from through the prayers that we do, to our whoever we feel closely connected with, Narasimha or Jagannath or any deities that we are closely associated with, to just vanquish our desire, vanquish our be fearless of losing that pleasure of enjoyment of that material desire. Yeah.
Makes sense, Mahārāja. That's very beautiful. That reminds me of the two-finger-less space of the rope. So basically, we have to make our effort and then totally rely on the mercy of the Lord. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mahārāja. Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add. So when Mataji mentioned Rasanath Prabhu, right? So she mentioned about this very subtle thing about the missing out on the pleasure that having that desire brings, right? So he was giving this talk in Brooklyn Temple to the youth, and he brought up a point that yes, so we say, right, oh, you can practice bhakti, and then by practicing bhakti your desires will go away, right?
Right.
He was mentioning how that is not a very good thing for uh, for a conditioned soul, right? So
Right.
like for any other person who is not into spirituality or anything, they actually fear losing out on that desire. So he said the actual fear, so he said yes, if by practicing spirituality you will lose your material desires, that is an effect, that is a sure shot effect of practicing spirituality. But he said that is not what we fear really. The fear that we usually have is by practicing spirituality I lose the desire, and not having that desire will make me a nobody in the world.
Right.
That is the fear.
That's very
So yeah, it's very subtle. Like I was very blown away by that. So it's not that yes, spirituality will work, spirituality will take away our desires, but the fear is that by not having this desire we feel that we'll be a nobody in the world, and that is why we want to have that desire. That is why, yeah, it's like kama kami, like Krishna says in the Gita, right? The what is that, the sage in equanimity is like a sea, right?
right.
The river of desires keep flowing in him, but the sea is still. Similarly, the desires keep flowing in, like not flowing, but keep popping up in the mind of a yogi. But then he's steady in that, so he doesn't desire to fulfill the desire. Na
Makes
kama kami apuryamanam achala pratishtham. That's the words, yeah. Samudramapa pravishanti yadvat, tadvat kamayan pravishanti sarve sa shanti mapanoti na kama kami. So yeah, I mean, we don't have to be desirers of fulfilling our desires like that. So anyway, sorry for the complicated.
Oh, that's actually very beautiful, bro. It's actually very strong message. Yeah. That makes sense, I think. Yeah. So that was actually a nice discussion. Does anyone else want to add anything on the desire related topic? So yeah, I think we can go ahead now. So along with this, this verse, a similar verse, the next 40th verse is very much on the similar lines. I don't want to discuss much about it, but it is very beautiful. So I thought it is definitely worth giving some attention. So it says the oceans of Nishayans is very difficult to cross because it is infested with many dangerous sharks. Although those who are non-devotees undergo severe austerities and penances to cross that ocean, we recommend that you simply take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are like boats for crossing the ocean. Although the ocean is difficult to cross, by taking shelter of his lotus feet, you will overcome all dangers. So, some points in the purport. Non-devotees who do not take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet try to cross the oceans of Nishayans by other methods, karma, jnana, and yoga, but they have a great deal of trouble. Indeed, sometimes they become so busy simply enjoying their troubles that they never cross the ocean. There is no guarantee that the non-devotees will cross the ocean, but even though they manage to cross, they have to undergo severe austerities and penances. On the other hand, anyone who takes to the process of devotional service and has faith that the lotus feet of the Lord are safe boats to cross that ocean is certain to cross it very easily and comfortably. This is very beautiful. Prabhupada is saying, like, with devotion, we can cross it very easily and comfortably. So, yeah, something to take note of. Further, he's saying Pṛthu Mahārāja is therefore advised to take the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord to easily cross over all dangers. Dangerous elements in the universe are compared to sharks in the ocean. Even though one may be a very expert swimmer, he cannot possibly survive if he is attacked by sharks. Often one sees that many so-called swamis and yogis sometimes advertise themselves as competent to cross the ocean of Nishayans and to help others cross. But in actuality, they are found to be simply victims of their own senses. Instead of helping their followers to cross the ocean of Nishayans, such swamis and yogis fall prey to Maya, represented by the fair sex, women, and thus devoured by the sharks in that ocean. So again, this is very powerful. It says like how in a way devotion protects us and taking shelter of the Lord is just an easy way to cross this material ocean of Nishayans. So going ahead, the next theme which we want to discuss is gratitude for your gurus. So in this verse, Pṛthu Mahārāja says, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. So here I'll just quickly go through the purport. Great personalities of the material world are very eager to render welfare service to human society. But actually, no one can render better service than one who distributes knowledge of spiritual realization in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All living entities are within the clutches of the illusory energy. Forgetting their real identity, they hover in the material existence, transmigrating from one body to another in search of a peaceful life. Since these living entities have very little knowledge of self-realization, they are not getting any relief. Although they are very anxious to attain peace of mind and some substantial happiness. Saintly persons like the Kumāras, Narada, Prahlada, Janak, Shukadev Goswami, and Kapiladev, as well as the followers of such authorities as the Vaishnava Acharyas and their servants, can render a valuable service to humanity by disseminating knowledge of the relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity. Such knowledge is the perfect benediction for humanity. So we can see here it is highlighted that how the gift of Krishna consciousness is the best gift and it can never be repaid. So knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that is impossible to repay the benefactor. Therefore, Pṛthu Mahārāja requested the Kumāras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of Maya. The king saw that there was no other way to satisfy them for their exalted activities. So here, if we go ahead, it is said that a person who tries to actually repay the spiritual master becomes a laughing stock just like a joker, because it is not possible to repay such a debt. So yeah, here we can see that the glories of gurus and brahmanas have been highlighted. The further verses further highlight the importance of brahmanas. So we can dive deeper into who is the brahmana. So the definition of brahmana is Brahman Janati iti, the one who is self-realized, who is fully situated above body and mind consciousness, who knows the absolute truth, is real brahmana. It has nothing to do with where you are born or your socio-economic status. So brahmana's duties, which are mentioned in the scriptures, are to worship the Lord, teach others how to worship the Lord, study the scriptures, and teach others how to study the scriptures, receive charity and give charity. Brahmana's qualities include self-control, austerity, pureness, compassion, and detachment. They know the scriptures and also know their application in real life. They don't need any external motivation like money, name, fame, or encouragement for spreading the knowledge of self realization. They do it because it simply gives them satisfaction. They cannot be bribed or cannot be made to carry out anyone's personal wishes. They are beyond politics. You will automatically respect them as they have knowledge of the absolute truth, which is the real possession and real power. Further, they get satisfaction in sharing the knowledge about absolute truth. It is said that when you share the knowledge of the absolute truth, you get deeper and deeper into it. Hence, sharing the knowledge is very important for Brahmanas and anyone else, as it brings us closer to Krishna. So here we can see that what can we do for Brahmanas? Here Pṛthu Mahārāja says we cannot repay the gift of self-realization or the gift of Krishna consciousness. But we can follow the etiquette given in Shastras to respect them. So the etiquette says that the person who speaks on absolute truth should be received properly with folded arms. A flower garland should be offered to them. They should be offered a proper seat. We should wash their feet, praise them, and bow down to them. Then there is the concept of Guru Dakshina. The gurus do not desire any gift, but Shastras say that the student's learning won't be complete unless Guru Dakshina is given. So it is not that the student is repaying to the guru, but they are offering a token of gratitude. So we see Lord Ram and Lord Krishna and Pandavas, everyone gave Guru Dakshina to their gurus. Krishna brought back the life of Guru Sandipani's son by fighting a demon and traveling to the netherworlds as Guru Dakshina. So here Pṛthu Mahārāja says to the Kumāras, you have the best possession, the knowledge of self-realization. That also you are sharing with everyone freely. So what can I give you? Your satisfaction is only in if I tell you that I have benefited from hearing you. My life has changed and I have become self-realized. So in Vedic system, burden is taken and understood. They would understand that you have given me something of great spiritual value and I cannot repay it by anything. So further, in the verse 46 here, we can read it. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmana's mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property, and give charity with their own property. So basically, this verse says that Brahmanas own everything. So we can dive deeper into it, that why do Brahmanas own everything and how does it make sense? So we can look at some examples from Ramayana and Mahabharata. In Ramayana, Lord Ram gave all his kingdom in charity to Brahmanas. Brahmanas gave it back to him, saying, you only take care of it. Then in Mahabharata, when Kunti Devi blessed Draupadi after wedding with Pandavas, she said, "May your husbands win the kingdom of the entire earth, and let this earth be given away by your hands in charity to Brahmanas." So if we see here, there is this same underlying theme of accepting authority of Brahmanas. So why are we doing that? Why was it done rather? So because they know the supreme truth, they can guide you with a different vision of life. They can give you best opportunity to change your life. They can give rulers a long-term spiritual vision for the progress of humanity. They can also create harmony in different varnas. So, and by applying the analogy of body of the universal form, Brahmanas are the head of the supreme person. So it makes sense as they are the thinkers, they have the wisdom, and they can give the righteous direction. Just because you have knowledge of making money doesn't mean you have the knowledge of how to utilize it. So Brahmanas can guide about utilization of the resources for the ultimate welfare of people. The supreme person eats by Brahmana's mouth. The story of Krishna swallowing the forest fire is symbolic that whenever there are arguments in a community, Brahmana's wisdom can resolve it. Also, by offering the kingdom at Brahmana's feet, the king could rule in the mood of a servant and caretaker and not a proprietor. It would also give the Brahmana's power to correct the king whenever the king is wrong. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why it is said that Brahmanas do own everything. And going ahead, I was just thinking about how like we cannot repay the Brahmanas. We really, really cannot think of repaying what Prabhupada has done for us. So he has literally done innumerable blessings for us. I'll just try to name a few with my limited intelligence, which are relevant over here. So he has made the Vedic literature accessible to everyone. He has presented it in such a way that conditioned souls in Kali Yuga can understand it. There were so many commentaries written which just stay in libraries. So I'm not trying to like devalue anyone's efforts, but people accept Prabhupada's literature, they get moved by it and become ready to actually apply it in their life. This is nothing short of a miracle if we think about it. Like, so reading his books can literally change your life. Again, he was beyond all Varnas, being a pure Vaishnava, but I would like to highlight some of his Brahminical qualities. So, as I was reading those earlier stated Brahminical qualities, I felt that it is quite impossible for anyone to have it in this Kali Yuga. But thinking of Prabhupada and so many like spiritual masters in this movement, we can actually see that many, like all of them basically exhibit such great qualities. So we can see that he was fully selfless, the way Sanat Kumaras were. So he also traveled across the globe just to give the knowledge of Krishna, give world this ultimate gift of devotion. He literally had like no self-interest in it. He just had to give it to everyone. He wanted to save all the fallen souls throughout the globe. So even when he came to London, one reporter had asked him, "Why did you come here?" And Prabhupada said, "I came here to give you what you left behind, what you forgot when you left India. You took away everything from India except the most valuable thing. That is the culture of India, and that will save the world." So yeah, and again, I was just thinking about my personal life. I'm staying here in Bhakti Center, which is here because of him. I have this amazing community of devotees, which is literally everything to me. I have no idea how would I survive in the US without all of you. Again, all of you are here because Prabhupada started on his journey to US. So all these amazing blessings in my life also are because of him. And as Pṛthu Mahārāja said, like we cannot repay any of it. We can just like try to apply what he has said in our lives and hope that just he's happy with that. So going ahead, I wanted to ask everyone that what are the ways in which we can show our gratitude to our spiritual teachers, Prabhupada, and those who guide us on the path of Krishna consciousness, even if we can't fully repay them? Like whatever your practices are, would anyone like to share about it?
So actually, I went through a bunch of Prabhupada quotes, Prabhupada's words and purports for this same concept of debt,
Right,
Rina, that we owe to not just Prabhupada, even our ancestors, even our the Devarshi Bhutapin Rinam Pitrinam, all those, Devarishi,
right,
our relative and everything. Um, so Prabhupada actually, he was asked this question many times, how should we repay you?
right,
And Prabhupada said many things, but in essence, he said two things. He said, take the instructions that I'm giving you nicely, follow them, and spread it to, give it to others, share it with others. So the two things he said, in essence, in all his this thing. I think there are so many examples. Like he once one Mataji offered him 108 pounds as Guru Dakshina, and
oh,
in reply to her, he wrote a letter. Prabhupada wrote a letter saying that yes, you cannot actually repay uh, your Guru, because
right,
it is something like the gift. If somebody gives us a material gift, then we can repay them with a material gift, right? But if someone gives us a spiritual gift, bhakti being a spiritual gift, nothing material, like if if we get Krishna from someone, right?
right,
What can we give them back? Can we give them Krishna back? They already have Krishna,
totally,
and anything material doesn't match up to what bhakti is, right?
right,
So there is actually, even from that logical perspective, there is nothing really you can do to repay the spiritual master in the sense of getting rid of the debt. Like we can never say that, okay, I've done this, okay, and then now that's it. My loan, my debt that I took from my guru is finished. No, we can never say that. But at the same time, we can reciprocate with that debt, as you mentioned, right? Can reciprocate with the spiritual master by taking to their instructions and giving it to others. So it's a very interesting topic, actually. So yeah.
yes. Yeah, that's a very nice point, Prabhu. Does anyone else want to add anything on showing gratitude towards your spiritual masters and Prabhupada? Yeah, Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hari Bol Prabhuji, very, very sweet class. And this is a very sweet question. So after reading this, I opened my notes and I started typing. So whatever I could think of is we really we can't fully repay them, but by sincerely applying Guru Maharaj Guru Maharaj's teachings and Prabhupada's teachings in our lives, we can show our gratitude to them. And another way is we can serve Vaishnavas and Maharaj also with a heart full of humility and helping them in their mission to spread Krishna consciousness. And be it like whether we do it through kind words and very, very small acts of services, and even if we encourage others on the same path, we can show our gratitude to our Shiksha Gurus and Diksha Gurus. And what other things we can also do is we can offer our prayers to Krishna, so that for their well-being and for their good health. So I think that would also be a very very tender way to express gratitude. So yeah, this is this is what I was thinking.
Those are very beautiful points, Mahārāja. I think actually you covered everything what we can do, like basically serving Vaishnavas, following their guru's instructions, giving Krishna to others, and praying for our guru to Krishna. Like I think that's pretty much sums up everything. Thank you so much for sharing it, Mahārāja. Does anyone else want to share anything? Okay, so I think we can go ahead. So after
Nitya Mataji raised her hand, Prabhu.
oh, sorry, Mahārāja. You can go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, just quickly is that yes, I liked all the points by Jagannath Gopal Prabhu and Manishika. So when Dwarkadish Prabhu and Vishaka Premataji used to visit, many, I think a couple of years ago, they mentioned that the biggest thing that we can do as the disciples of Radhanath Swami Maharaj is to display our like through our sadachar, our best behavior.
Right.
Our behavior must be pleasing for, I mean, of course, it will not be like, only we behave nicely in front of Maharaj. It's not like that. But through our behavior to all the devotees that that we come in contact with, and also not just devotees, but also to pretty much, every human being. Our sadachar must be of a perfect gentleman, like, Prabhupada always puts it. We should all be perfect gentlemen in our behaviors. So that is the biggest repaying we can do as his disciples is from the mouth of Dwarkadish Prabhu.
Makes sense, Mahārāja. That's a very strong point. Yeah, like behaving good in all situations, just basically purifying our heart and becoming a better human in all aspects of life. Yeah, makes sense. Like that is very important. Thank you so much, Mahārāja. So I think if no one wants to share anything, we can go ahead. The next theme which we want to discuss is Krishna conscious leadership. So here in this verse, it is said, being self-satisfied, Mahārāja Pṛthu executed his duties as perfectly as possible according to the time and his situation, strength, and financial position. His only aim in all his activities was to satisfy the absolute truth. In this way, he duly acted. So Mahārāja Pṛthu was a responsible monarch, and he had to execute the duties of a Kshatriya, a king, and a devotee at the same time. Being perfect in the Lord's devotional service, he could execute his prescribed duties with complete perfection as befitted the time and circumstance and his financial strength and personal ability. In this regard, the word karmani in this verse is significant. Pṛthu Mahārāja's activities were not ordinary, for they were in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Rupa Goswami has advised that things which are favorable to devotional service should not be rejected, nor should activity favorable for devotional service be considered ordinary work or fruitive activity. For example, an ordinary worker conducts business in order to earn money for his sense gratification. A devotee may perform the same work in exactly the same way, but his aim is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Consequently, his activities are not ordinary. So yeah, here I think here one of the point which really stuck with me was he could execute his prescribed duties with complete perfection as befitted the time and circumstance and his financial strength and personal ability. Now he was Shaktavesha avatar of the Lord himself, but still it is said according to the financial strength and personal ability. So I think it is we kind of have a hope that, okay, though we are imperfect, but if we give our best, the Lord will be satisfied. The Lord does consider all the things the way it is mentioned here. Yeah, I'll just go to the next verse. So Maharaj Pṛthu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Consequently, all the fruits of his activities were dedicated to the Lord, and he always thought of himself as the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of everything. So here again, it is highlighted how Pṛthu Maharaj was fully dedicated servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And yeah, we can just discuss this part of the purport, which I kind of like. Prabhupada says over here that in one's home or in a temple, the deity is considered the proprietor of everything, and everyone is considered the deity's eternal servant. So I think I really like this point. So here Prabhupada has given a very easy way for living devotion. So basically, you can just live at your home, do service at your home, you can clean your home. But if you consider the home as the property of the Lord, then whatever you do becomes service to the Lord. And that is a very easy way of converting all of your activities into devotional service. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I understood it, and I found it was quite interesting. So going ahead, the main quality which is highlighted here is that a leader was God conscious. He was servant of God. He was representative of God. Prabhupada mentions in another purport that how government by people for people is not sanctioned in Vedas, but the government should be representative of the Supreme Lord. So here I wanted to ask this question, that in today's world, what do we think? Should a leader be servant of people or servant of God? Does anyone has any thoughts on it? Like when I mean servant of people, it means like he's not really concerned about God. He's just focused about welfare of people. And servant of God is obviously concerned about people, but his main motive is to satisfy the Lord. So what do we think about this comparison, and how is it relevant in today's world?
Prabhuji, I think if we think about welfare of people,
Right.
God consciousness is welfare of people is inclusive of being God consciousness, because the true welfare of people comes when one is like in some degree of spirituality.
Right.
But right now, I think neither in practicality, neither is true. They're not into making people's lives better or introducing spirituality. It's just going the opposite way.
That makes sense.
Just a wild thought,
Yeah.
Since in any kingdom or in any country, uh, the part of the people are Vaishnavas or devotees, right?
Right.
So even if a leader is just a servant of the people, right?
Right.
Just a servant of the people, in the sense that he just wants welfare for the people and is sincerely trying for it.
Right.
If he and with that consciousness, if he ends up serving a Vaishnava, right,
Right.
in his kingdom, unknowingly,
Right.
and then he'll get benefit. Like there are so many leaders like that today, even in today's world, even American leaders who helped Vaishnavas in the past, and definitely it's to their credit. So even if they may not, even if they are not both in both these categories here, leader of leader, servant of people or servant of God, but by that little virtue that they get by serving Vaishnavas in their leadership position, they will move towards God consciousness. So yeah.
I think that is a nice point, Prabhu. But here my question was more about, okay, that will be like beneficial to them, but will they be an effective leader currently if they are just maybe serving some of the Vaishnavas, but they are also like catering to the needs of all different people wanting different things from life?
Mm,
Hare Krishna,
that's a good
Prabhu.
question.
Hare
Hare,
Krishna. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. So, I'm reminded of Vidhan Sauda, which is the legislative house in Bangalore.
Right,
And there is a sign which says, government's work is God's work outside. It doesn't say that, it doesn't say what you were saying, which is, like government and, it's people, it's for the people and by the people, which is a typical way,
right,
government is explained to us or democracy is explained to us.
right,
I think the key thing is obviously it's like the plant, and if you water the plant at its roots, definitely the entire plant benefits. So if you serve, if you serve the Lord, if the king or the queen or the ruler of the country is completely God conscious and is focused on serving the Lord, like Lekha Mataji said, serving the people is a subset of that, and
right,
automatically people will be served. So that is why kings in the olden times in India, they always built temples in the center of the towns. Every towns. In fact, there are villages where every street had a temple, and the whole purpose was that by being God conscious, people people ended up being sincere. They would serve the temple. They would bring a part of their produce to the temple, and then they would offer it to the Lord first, and only then consume it themselves. So doing that automatically makes a country more prosperous and also peace loving. Obviously, as these qualities deteriorated, society has gotten into more and more trouble. Just some thoughts, Prabhu. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts as well.
Those are very nice thoughts, Prabhu. I love it. Yeah. Mataji, I think Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu also wants to say something. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Prabhuji, I was listening to all the points, but from a practical standpoint, I feel a leader who serves people also stays connected to a higher purpose, I feel.
Okay.
I think that like serving people becomes more of a beautiful expression of serving God, because I feel that every person in their own way is a reflection of God itself. So I think this balance makes a leader very loving also, and considerate also, and wise. So I feel that serving people with a pure intention of caring their needs is also an act of serving God also. So yeah. Am I making sense? I'm just
Mataji, totally.
blabbering.
I was also thinking about similar things. That's why this question came to my mind. So I think the only one aspect over here to consider is that different people can have different needs. So as a servant of people, am I thinking of what they need, what they want rather, or what is their actual core need? Like, we know from philosophical perspective that everyone is a individual soul who's at the end their real most inner desire is to connect with the Supreme Lord. But on a superficial level, they may be wanting so many things which are not actually good for them. So as a servant of people, will they be aware of their ultimate good, or will they be just looking for what they want currently? Is it making sense? I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't know if it is really practical, but yeah, just a point.
It's very deep. It's very deep.
I also want to add something, but maybe Nitya Mataji can.
Yeah, Nitya Mataji can go.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Prabhu. I mean, we can just finish
No,
that
no.
discussion.
So you mentioned, right, people can have, the innermost desire is Krishna, right,
Right.
for everyone. But then at the same time, they can have certain wants, right?
Right.
Now, the duty of a leader becomes extremely complicated because sometimes what they want can be a part of the journey towards going to what they need.
Right.
So, yeah, as you said, as I think somebody mentioned, Manu Mataji, I think she mentioned that it has to be a balance. I mean, a leader can't just say that. So, I guess your question is from the point of view of the effectiveness of a leader. Can a leader be more effective if he's a servant of people or servant of God?
Correct.
Right. So, yeah, I think that effectiveness is a very, very tricky one to get. So it has to be a balance of both for sure. And yeah, but it takes a really mature and leader with depth to strike that balance. And yeah, some
Makes
thoughts.
sense.
Yeah.
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 Mataji, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, I think, yeah, very good points. I just also reflecting the similar one. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Like Tasmat Sarvesha Kaleshu Ma Manusmaradyacha. So that applies for kind of like all the people, all the varnas. I feel that whether it's a leader, like a king or a merchant or a brahmana or anybody who's just doing services, we have to carry our prescribed duties, but at the same time we should always be thinking of Krishna, of the Lord, and dedicate our activities to the Lord. And in that sense, then we can make better judgments and not anything selfish. We're not doing for certain facts of people, or we're not doing for our own selfish endeavors, or whatever that the selfishness may be. Yeah, so I think that that will probably strike a balance. Yeah, just being spiritually intelligent and
Right.
serving people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that kind of summarizes Mataji. Like, so basically you're saying like you should be situated in like Krishna consciousness, but you're serving people as a duty, right? So
Prabhuji,
yeah.
I'll pose a hypothetical question.
Yeah.
Will you prefer a ruler
Right.
who's not spiritual but serving the people,
Right.
and or would you prefer a ruler who's spiritual and God conscious, and that's all we know about him or her? So what is it's a hypothetical question,
Right.
where what will happen if somebody is not God conscious but is out to serve the people, and somebody who's God conscious? What will be the difference between the two?
Right. That is actually a very good question, Prabhu. Like, I have kind of marked a few points over there to like compare between them. I think they are exactly not what you are saying, because you are saying the God servant is a person who might not have leadership qualities, right?
No, I think both of them have leadership qualities, but one of them is God conscious, and the other is not God conscious.
So yeah, so I have just marked a few points. I can just quickly go through them, and then we can maybe like,
please.
Yeah. So a God servant, it might be a bit biased, but you can like just try to like see what it means, like if it makes sense. So God servant They see their leadership as service to God and therefore to all living beings. Their decisions are guided by divine principles, dharma, and long-term spiritual well-being. For a people's servant, they prioritize the immediate needs, demands, and opinions of the people. Their actions are often guided by the societal expectations, popular opinion, or material concerns. Further, for God's servant, their moral compass is rooted in eternal divine principles like truth, non-violence, humility, and compassion, as prescribed in the sacred texts. These values remain steady regardless of public opinion or societal trends. For people's servant, their values may shift based on changing societal norms, desires of the electorate, or political pressures. They tend to adapt to popular trends to gain approval or maintain power. God's servant tend to promote policies and values that encourage not just material prosperity, but also spiritual elevation, harmony with nature, and holistic well being. Their leadership can inspire ethical living and a higher sense of purpose among the population. For people's servant, while they can bring material progress, their policies may focus primarily on economic growth, technological advancement, or social reforms, sometimes overlooking spiritual or ethical dimensions. And then lastly, God's servant, they approach conflict with a mindset of forgiveness, non-violence, and compassion, guided by their spiritual principles. They aim to resolve issues in a way that upholds dharma and maintains peace. For people's servant, they prioritize the immediate needs, demands, and opinions of the people. Their actions are often guided by societal expectations, popular opinion, or material concerns. So the last point was about conflict management. So yeah, that's what I thought. It might be wrong, but yeah, what do you think about it, Prabhu?
Very comprehensive, Prabhu. This is extremely comprehensive. We should share these slides as images for us on the group.
Definitely,
This
Prabhu.
is extremely comprehensive. I think you've answered my question. Thank you so much. I
Hare
completely, I completely think that you have thought through this, and this definitely makes sense.
Thank you, Prabhu. Does anyone else have anything to say or any opinion about this? So I think I have some more slides, but I think considering the time, we should end this. Or what do you think, Prabhu? Gaur Kumar, Prabhu?
First of all, this was amazing, Prabhu. I mean, I was completely captured by your class and the points that you are making and the depth of your study and the effort that you put was mind-blowing, actually. I just wanted to hear more and more. I didn't want the class to end at all. And you've not only heard classes of Radhesham Prabhu, you have had discussions with Gaur Sharan Prabhu. So much effort you put and such nice slides. And I could never tell that this was your first class, you know. So thank you. And with so much humility and nice discussions, everything was like perfect. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. You should give more classes. That's my
No, Prabhu, thank you for tolerating me.
no. There's nothing to tolerate, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we can end, Prabhu. It's
Okay,
10:15.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay.
Unless so Jagannath Gopal Prabhu wants to say something.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just echoing what Gaur Kumar Prabhu mentioned. Thank you very much, Prabhu. This was really nice. You started with a recap and then you covered all the points according to themes, and then especially your questions were very relevant. Like just by seeing the questions, I was feeling that urge to speak, to share thoughts on the questions. But so yeah, very nice thought-provoking questions, and that is how we envision, like Gaur Kumar Prabhu, envisions this Tuesday class to be. Like we want devotees to first of all, share their insights, then pose thought-provoking questions, which will bring more insights from the devotees, and that way, everybody will be uplifted by sharing with each other. So yeah, definitely very nice, and yeah, thank you very much. Very, very well prepared and amazing analysis. So thank you. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Prabhu, for supporting me and providing me all the different materials. So I'm really grateful and sorry for troubling you so much.
Not at all, not at all, Prabhu. You already had everything. Yeah, it was just a matter of time that your skills and your devotion had to come out. So now I'll make sure that it comes out more often. Don't worry in the beginning, but yeah, we would really love for you to speak more and share Krishna consciousness with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Definitely, Prabhu. Thank you so much for such a lively class. Yeah, I could not tell that this is your first. I definitely love the when the class is um very interactive, and the speaker addresses like a lot of day-to-day relevant discussion points. Instead of talking about supreme goals that are unattainable for for many, just talking at the grassroots level, just addressing the desires, and all those points are like really, really deep. And I appreciate all your slides very, very nicely, especially the last one, which is like very, very beautifully comparing the two aspects. And would love to see what more you have. Maybe you can we can continue this discussion in the next class, maybe with yours, and then we can add uh next week's. But I really prefer this model. So maybe if whoever is uh adding themselves as a speaker for this class, maybe it's a humble request to Jagannath Gopal Prabhu to guide them to actually make such relevant discussions as a part of their um the class, rather than just one person speaking 100% of the time. So just a humble request.
We'll try my best, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your blessing. So I think we can end over here. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनन्तकोटि वैष्णववृन्द की जय.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
जय.
So just a couple of announcements. So first announcement is, so tomorrow His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu and His Grace Damodar Prabhu will be speaking at 26th Avenue. So please attend if you can, if you're in the area. And His Holiness Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Mahārāja will be speaking at Princeton University on 26th of this month, September 26th. That's a Thursday. So that is open to public. So if you are close to the Princeton area, I strongly recommend that you attend that. And that's all. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.